And we are live. I'm Ayodele Harrison.
Natasha Harrison.
We're here for a special event and a special announcement. And here it is. Stress kills. Stress is killing us. Stress unchecked, untreated, unmitigated is killing us. It's shrinking our brains and it's killing our bodies. It's causing us to experience depression, to have hypertension, diabetes, all of those things. Stress is impacting us. Mm-hmm. So Natasha and I are here today to announce that we're going to get out of the fire, learn how to beat burnout, and move past the feeling of being overworked, overwhelmed, and simply over it. So stress is all around us in this life. So let me just read off a few things. We feel stressed just thinking about getting out of bed and starting your day. We feel stressed thinking about your long commute to your job where you don't feel valued, reading crazy social media posts from folks you thought had your back, feeling like there are no viable school options for your kids, being asked, "Can we talk?" by a friend or by a loved one, feeling irritable and uneasy and not even knowing why. Living your life check to check, trying to hustle. Your hustle's got a side hustle. Your side hustle's got a side hustle. All of that contributes. Watching the news, everything. We are surrounded by, our brains are under attack with stress. With our community, whether it's interpersonal, personal one, we are there. And today we're here to introduce a series that we're going to really give you tips and tools to get out of the fire, learn how to beat burnout, and manage and move past feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and simply over it. That's what we're going to do. Go for it.
Okay, I am sharing on my page right now.
And I'm about to share on my page right now too. So
yes, so again, what Ayodele said, we are here to just share an opportunity to move past feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and over it. And again, we are going to give you strategies how to get out of the fire so that you aren't feeling burnt out. And we are going to do it through 5 sessions. Beginning on July 16th, that's next Monday at 9 p.m. via our Facebook page. We will be posting each lesson. And so on session 1, we're going to talk about the fire in our decisions and how the feeling of being burnt out and stress and managing threats, everyday threats, and also even explaining what that means. But we're going to talk about the fire in our decisions. The second session, we're going to talk about the fire, the body, and the brain. What is happening to your body and your brain when you are experiencing threats and stress and are burnt out. Session 3, we're going to talk about how can you limit the fire damage and actually give you tools on ways that you can limit the damage and the burnout and feeling of burnout. And then session 4, we're also going to continue with that conversation about limiting the fire damage and actually going through a practice on how you can limit it. And then session 5, we're going to talk about basically how do you create a barrier? How do you create a fire break in which the fire is there, but it's not consuming you, it's not burning you up, and you're not burnt out. Yeah. And so who is this for?
Everybody.
Yes, everybody. I was about to say, if you're a human being, if you're a human being, you need to take this. So one, I experienced it today as soon as Ayodele came home of feeling stressed with our 4-year-old. If you're a parent, you need to listen to this. If you're an educator, if you're on the front line as a youth worker, you're a community leader, a community resident, that's advocating for your community, activists, people that are addressing issues around white supremacy and structural institutional racism. All of these things, again, if you're a human being, this is for you. And I also want to call out people who are our healing practitioners.
Yes.
Yes. Our doctors, our nurses, our social workers, all the people
community liaison.
Exactly. All the people that are doing especially heart-centered work, as we both experienced working, doing heart-centered work in counseling and education. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of opportunities to talk about emotional self-care and take care of ourselves. And a lot of times, I know I felt in those positions where my candle was burnt at both ends, and my employer never offered an opportunity. And we're working with people who are experiencing trauma at that moment in their lives. And we're taking all of that energy in and not finding inner peace for what we're dealing with day to day. And so this is what this is about. This is about how do we create that community to do that.
Right. And so Natasha mentioned the title, the phrase emotional self-care. And emotional self-care is any activity you do deliberately to take care of your emotional health and well-being. This goes beyond self-care. Mm-hmm. It is a subset of self-care, but we all know that there are things that you can do in terms of eating right, in terms of you go get your nails done, you go get ice cream, you go shopping, retail therapy, all of those types of things that we try and do to take care of ourselves. But what happens is that only gets us to get out of the bed the next day and go back to work. It does not put us in a position of thrive. It does not put us in a position that is sustainable over time. Until we begin to think about emotional self-care, the way our emotions affect us and the decisions we make and our bodies, until we decide to take on practical measures to improve our emotional health and well-being, we're only going to just be able to wake up and just get to the next line and not be in a place where we thrive. And so this is focused on giving you practical tools and strategies that are brain science research based on how can you navigate the stressful threat times, understand how it impacts your brain, understand what you can do to then in the moment of some high stress time or high threat time, react and figure out what you can do after the moment. And then what can we do in times when we're away from that moment to then be able to fight some of the things, the negative effects of stress has on our bodies. Going to be filled with a lot of practical examples, but listen,
it's a lot going on.
Listen, this is 5 sessions, and you're going to need all 5. Educators, 16-year educator, classroom teacher taught in a variety of different spaces. Schools, you might not want to believe it, but school's starting in a few weeks. You know that it's going to be a challenging year this year. You know it's going to be difficult, and you know that you can use tools to better cultivate emotional self-care for yourself. And you could then use it to teach other people as well. But you need these things. Frontline workers, hey, we said parents, listen, school's getting ready to start. August 1st down here in Atlanta is when it's going to kick off again. For some who are in public charter schools, you're going to start probably July 25th. That is literally 2 weeks away. Life kind of starts again. That whole summer session, the weather's going to start again.
And traffic.
In Atlanta. If you didn't know traffic as well, you're going to need these tools to be there. Now, again, this is emotional self-care. We're talking about how can we understand the way that our brains are interpreting emotions that are going on, that craziness. Sometimes we react. I don't know about you, but there's moments where I'll react and I'll move away from that situation and not really and think, what just happened in that moment? I flipped my lid. I had a reaction. Somebody cut me off. A check for some reason didn't come into the account, and I had an automatic withdrawal that I was then overdrafted and had to pay 20. All of those things happen to us, and they're all impacted in our brain. We have to fight those stresses. We have to learn tools to be able to navigate that stress. All right?
Yes. So when is this? We're going to kick off, I'm going to say it, July 16th, 9 p.m. right here on Facebook. We're going to post session number 1. And then it's going to happen for 5 weeks coming, or 4 weeks after that. So what we're going to do is we're going to engage you and have that. If you have questions or anything, please make sure that you connect with us in the comments. Also, on our page, Community Build Ventures LLC, you'll also see a activity or an calendar event already on there. So why don't we just, Natasha, what I want you to do is take a moment to talk about why you feel get out of the fire, learn how to beat burnout and move past feeling overworked, overwhelmed, and over it. Why did you sit down? What brought you to wanting to share this with our community? So the work of Community Build Ventures, we are committed to developing powerful and impactful leaders and organizations that serve Black communities. most of my day, and you know this, I am in the community, literally. I am coaching community members. I am facilitating trainings. I am doing consulting work on strategy, on community engagement. And I attend, just the nature of my work, I attend a great deal of community meetings. And what has come up for me in the past month, and you know I've expressed this probably since the beginning of the summer, is that I'm experiencing community meetings where people don't have interpersonal grace. And we're talking about Black people that are experiencing here in Atlanta. And I'm also going to shout out to our loved ones in DC, which is near and dear to our heart. But also in DC, just rapid displacement of Black people, right? Which is a very common Black experience. That is the Black experience of feeling like you are a nomad or trying to form community. And at every turn, there is structures and institutions that are literally displacing us, and just that feeling of displacement. And so I'm working in communities, I'm supporting community members, I'm even facilitating conversations with community members on how to handle negative energy when they are literally voted as leaders of their community, but they're seen as the power structure, but they're experiencing this threat of displacement as well. And so I'm hearing very nasty things among people in the community, in our community. And I understand that there is a painful and hard and hurtful experience that they are engaging in. And they're trying to get connected to power and are trying to be activists, right, and advocates for their community. But a lot of times I'm seeing them imploding on each other. And there's not interpersonal grace. And so when I'm talking about grace, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, definitely a Christian point of view when you hear grace. But when I talk about grace, right, here's one definition. When somebody hurts you, and you understand the situation instead of trying to hurt them back. And then there is
wait, say that one more time.
Somebody hurts you and somebody hurts you, and you try to understand their situation instead of trying to hurt them back.
Okay.
So that's one definition of grace. But I'm really talking about interpersonal grace, and really came across this book called Experiences of Interpersonal Grace by Dr. Melissa Kennedy, and which she describes when one individual grants another an unearned position of favor, which offers the opportunity for transformation or change. So just imagine, which I understand it is a very painful moment. And so definitely emotional self-care and healing practices for our communities is definitely needed so that I can be more kind internally to myself, and then I can be kind to you. And you know, and just something else that, you know, as we were researching and doing this work, I came across in a wonderful quote: "We cannot sustain being kind if we don't feel kind within." Eventually, our own self-defined and self-perpetuated nastiness, having not dealt with our stuff, will boil out and into the airy arena of public life where it is no longer secret. So if we aren't doing the internal work, and we are also trying to show up for our community and be activists, right? We're not doing a great service in our community. We're not having the interpersonal grace. And honestly, giving the person the benefit of the doubt, like understanding that we're all experiencing this displacement in various ways, and we're going to show up in various ways. But we cannot be proactive if I'm being reactionary with you.
Right. Or impulsive.
Yes.
Right. Or things where there isn't, you know, this work with stress management and getting out of the fire is really about how do I interrogate my automatic response? And find some pause moment or that grace to be able to think, I want to be able to respond with my most clear thinking, most effective self. And you're saying that you're seeing that this is not happening in some of the communities that you work in with corporations and foundations and stuff, and people that you're engaging with, trying to do this work and really meaningful work in their community. They're having a hard time staying present during their work.
Right.
Because of issues in the community, because of personal issues, or as you said, because of potentially there's a potential space for interpersonal grace to expand there.
Right. Yeah. And it's been a few nights that I've been very emotional of what I've witnessed and understanding that our people are hurting. And people dismiss that pain and hurt as those people are crazy. Mm-hmm. Those people are unorganized. Those people, and I'm very sick and tired of it, that understanding is part of that's what's happening in our community. We need emotional self-care and healing practices because that helps us to show up as better community advocates and better activists for our community. And it is a right. We must have it. Right. We must have it.
And what we're going to do, starting in the first session, is talk about how does stress impact our decision making? Where does it show up for us? Because stress it's a very interesting thing, how we face threat or difficult emotional moments, and we manifest that differently. And so quick examples could be irritability. Maybe there's a detachment where I don't care anymore. I don't do what you got to do, or you're just simply trying to remove yourself from the situation. So we're going to talk about how you could become more aware of how you react. And some of it just begins with, wait a minute, I'm feeling irritable right now for some particular reason, right? That is a defense response that your body has to keep itself safe. We're going to talk about what are the different ways that your body, your mind tries to keep itself safe, but then actually ends up impacting the type of way you show up every day or show up in a particular decision at that particular moment. So that's what Get Out of the Fire is about equipping you with an understanding of what's happening to your body mentally, in your brain, in your physical body when you're experiencing stress, and what are the signs that is there?
Sure.
And then over the sessions, talk about how do we get better at navigating those particular spaces.
So why did you want to
do it? So I
want to make sure that you
why do
you want to do it?
I hope you have some time here, because there's two main reasons why this has come out. So educators, 16 years, we're burning out. There's so much of a focus on building a pipeline of getting educators into the schools and into our public school system
without supporting them.
But what's happening is there's an oil spill on the other end. So we have this pipeline of teachers coming in, currently there and entering, but then they're leaving quickly. I think here in the state of Georgia, this is a national thing, for urban high-need schools, or schools that are in communities that have been underserved, right? Title I or whatnot. They're experiencing 60% of new teachers are leaving within the first 3 years. And what that is costing the country is, on a low estimate, this was back in 2012, I believe, or 2015, $2.5 billion a year. It costs $18,000 in a major city to replace one teacher, and it costs, I think, roughly $35,000 to replace a school leader. And so the thing is that there's so much focus on what do we do for the kids, social emotional learning, getting the kids right. We need to get more teachers into the building. We need to train more. We need to do all this. But who's taking care of teachers?
Right.
Who's talking with them about how they can navigate these stressful situations? Because we have teachers teaching in toxic school environments. We have teachers that have suffered traumatic, stressful experiences themselves, and they're still going through that. And we're asking them to be on the front line and working with students who are facing issues much more different and more intense than they've ever had to face before. But again, nobody's focusing in on them. So this, again, get out of the fire is for educators. Anybody in the educational space, if you're a community leader, if you're a coach, a mentor, whatever that might be, working with youth, working in these stressful situations, you've got to make sure that you get yourself together so that you can show up to be your best self. So that's number one. Okay. Number two, the second reason for this is anger. And anger being used as a fuel for change. So I'm talking to you, social justice advocates, those who are about improving, changing, deconstructing structural and institutional racism, inequalities, lack of inclusion, lack of diversity, all the isms that are there, right? Because I'll speak for me, as a Black man growing up in America that has been structured off of white supremacist practices, I have every reason to be upset and angry. My body, my mind is under attack every single day that I hit the streets. You've seen the videos of the young men and women that have been under attack simply for selling water or cutting your grass, campaigning, cutting grass, all of those things, right? And so when we get into this work, oftentimes as social justice advocates, we're so fueled by anger. And that anger we feel like is what we need. And if we're not angry, we're not doing the right amount of work. We're not in it. We don't have enough skin in the game if we don't feel that. And so what this is about is giving you information to take that anger, the way we translate it, we think it's helpful, and it can be helpful in the temporary to motivate us, but it's not sustainable. It is causing us to burn out. Yeah. That's why we're talking about get out of the fire. Now, I'm not going to say that we're ending racism with this 5-session series. That's not what this is about. No. What this is about is giving you the tools, sharing information that gives you the tools so that you can get out of the fire and live and work the life that you would like to. That you don't have to feel overworked. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to feel over it. That you can get up in the morning and not just report to work, but report to work with a renewed mind, with a renewed spirit to do the work that you know. And the interesting thing about this is that when anger can cloud our judgment and cloud the decisions, and sometimes what it does is it can impact our decisions to where we're not making the best decision for our communities. Right. Because we're so interested in getting back what was taken from us. It's so reactionary. It's not proactive. It's not proactive. And it's important that we understand that when you're burnt out, creativity, innovation, clarity does not reside in burnout. It does not. It doesn't thrive. It doesn't thrive. It's still there. There's no doubt it's still there. Sorry, but it doesn't thrive there. And we'll talk about the reason why it doesn't thrive there, because of what's happening in your brain and your body, and honestly, where that discomfort and pain or stress or threat is within your body, and it manifests in different diseases. Like we're going to talk about that, like holding on to that anger, sleeplessness, irritability, racing thoughts, gaining weight, negative thinking. All of those things are our body's responses telling us that we're under a lot of stress, we're under a lot of pressure, and that's an issue. And so I'm glad that we correct ourselves that it's not that energy and motivation don't lie in those spaces. It's not that creativity is not there, but just think, right? Getting your head and your body into a space of, or adopting practices that increase your health and well-being. Just imagine how much more creative you could be, how much more work you can get done, how much clearer thinking, clear communication you can have with that. So what we're trying to do is clear. Stress is like brain fog. It's just this. And you know what? I got to tell you, I'm Black, you're Black. Yeah. We're beautiful. We're beautiful. We're strong. We're powerful people. Resilient. Yeah. We're doing this through the face of stress. Imagine what happens if we actually began to more effectively take care of stress in our lives, how much more beautiful, how much more powerful, how much more effective we can be. So again, all of this starts hashtag GOTF. That's our new hashtag. Get out of the fire. It begins July 16th, 9 p.m., session number 1. And I forgot what the title of session number 1 is. It is entitled The Fire and Our Decisions. Mm-hmm. Session number 1 is about understanding the fire, the stress, the threat, that pressure, and how it influences our decisions. And we're going to look at how you can begin to become more aware of what types of decisions you're making under this stressful time of being on fire.
Yeah, and I want to just add a disclaimer. And we actually posted something like that on our Community Build Ventures page. But this is a healing practice moment for me in doing this with you, Ayodele, and talking about this and researching this and learning more about this. And also contemplating, investigating my own practice. This is literally the name of this is about community building.
Yes.
Like we are all in this together. We are all in this together. And it takes practice. And I know sometimes I fell short and I get back up, try something new, try again. But this is what this is about. And this is the first step. And we're doing this together. And you are not alone in this. You're not alone in the stress. It is a human experiencing the world, and the world has threats every day, big and small. And so we want all of us to have tools together so that we can be better for our families. Well, first of all, for ourselves.
For yourself.
Right? For ourselves, for our families, for our community, for the people that we work with. For the heart center or passionate or purpose-filled work that you believe you're called to do, and you want to get up every day and excited about it. This is what this is about. This is about building a community. We're in this together. And again, that interpersonal grace, I'll go back to that again, is so important in the work that we're doing. So I'm just excited to take this journey with all of you all, and especially you, Ayodele. And another disclaimer, if you didn't know, this is my husband. We have the same last name. We didn't even say that at the beginning. Yeah. I just want to make sure that that's clear. But yeah, so this is an opportunity for our family to continue practice and to learn more in this space. And this is our opportunity to learn more from you on your practice and what your thoughts are on emotional self-care and healing.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, when we post it, there's no prep work you need to do to come to this.
Right.
It's literally just click and watch and learn from that.
Or listen.
And listen.
Or listen from the car.
We want you to share it and do all that, but we want you to listen and be able to give us feedback on how things went, what you learned from that, from the particular experiences that were there, what more information you would like. You'll see Natasha and I sitting side by side like we're doing now, going through this curriculum that we've designed. And so this is brain science research informed. Well, it is using some of the latest information from psychotherapists, from psychologists, from behavioral specialists. We're bringing all that information into you because what we want to do is give you the tools for free. We want to give you the tools so that you can be more effective for you, for your household, for your community, and for this greater country, because that's what it is. But one thing I want to do, and I'll just close with this because I know we're up, but I wanted to I read this quote. So I'm reading this book called Radical Dharma. And it's really talking about truth and how liberation comes about. And one of the authors is Lama Rod Owens. And this is what he says, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, "We have to honor our anger, but we don't have to ground ourselves in anger as a momentum to create change. I'm struggling to see the nature of anger and to transform the anger into something that's about creating, not destroying." That's what brings me to the table. That's what brings me wanting to share this, is saying, how do we transform our feeling of anger into something that is going to create change and not destroy more? That's what Get Out of the Fire is all about.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm excited. So check us beginning Monday, 9 p.m. on our Facebook page, Community Build Ventures LLC, beginning at 9 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah. So also
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. Also, we'll so it'll be posted on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. Please make sure you check this out. What's your personal Twitter?
At Break the Silo.
And mine is at Iodeli_HAR78. Yeah, that's old school because it came up. What I did it probably when I was back in college. No, not that far back. But anyway, not that far back.
And also at CB Ventures 1 on Twitter as well. And also it's at CB Ventures 1 on Facebook.
So if you're feeling stressed out, if you could just use more tips, tools, practical strategies to navigate the stress that's in your life, to be able to be more effective, this session, Get Out of the Fires for you. Please share. Please invite others. Please comment here. Let us know what you need, what you're looking for. All right. And then we're going to come back each week and actually do a recap. So after the first one, July 16th, we'll come back during the week and do another live event and recap some of the things and talk. And if you're giving us feedback, we can actually address those questions then as best as we possibly can with the information that we have. We're not perfect, but we're going to try and give you the best because, again, it is about building communities. For ourselves, to you, we want to give that because we're about community building together. Okay?
Yes.
All right. That's it. Take care. We wish you well. Have a happy Monday. Thank you to, I'm sorry. See, I do this all the time. Thank you to all those who've logged into us. I think it was Goldie, Neith, Deborah, William, all the folks who Allison, all the folks at Toya who have Goldie, William, who've tuned in. Please continue to share. We thank you for your support. Share, bring people back July 16th, 9 p.m. right here on Facebook, Community Build Ventures LLC. Take care.
Bye-bye.